ultimately how the book was talking about it was not in the form of a question, but I turned it into a question, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. This question I found to be extremely powerful. And then I'm going to share with you exactly what I did to actually start implementing some things to remove what this revealed to me, what this question revealed to me. So it feels like I cleaned out like the dark corners of my, it feels like I cleaned out like the dark corners of a closet or something like that. Like things that have been living in the back of my mind for months, and in a couple of cases, like years. And it's super eye-opening to be able to see those very, very clearly, but also to understand why I've enabled those things to stay, why those dark corners of the closet weren't cleaned out previously, right? But ultimately, in the last 90 days, what happened was I came across something that, as a concept, just completely like cracked me open immediately. Like the moment I read the sentence out of this book, I was like, wow, this is definitely something that like our psyches as humans kind of like bury from us. Like we don't even notice it somehow. And so this has been affecting me for years. It definitely affects you. It affects all of us. And we're human. We're supposed to not see everything. There's that quote, can't read the label from inside the jar, right? So sometimes it takes outer reflection to be able to do that. And so, yeah, I wanted to make a video breaking this concept down. And what happened, let me give you a quick backstory. So I was reading this book called Complete Family Wealth, and I loved the concept they were talking about in there about how wealth is well-being, right? It's not just about having financial resources and passing those on multi-generationally and preserving the money. It's how are those resources being used to actually care for the members of their family. And that hit really close to home for me because I look at my parents, like the things that they've been through with my father's Parkinson's. And if it weren't for some family members that are extremely good with their money and how they've structured things across like my grandma, my grandpa, all the way through my parents would ultimately live a way worse life. Their life would be 10 times more difficult than it already is. And so to me, this hit really close to home. And I was like, wow, I feel ultimately responsible to be a good steward of finances and to truly understand what's keeping those things from growing. But the point of this book was not just about the money. Like I said, it was also about how do you leverage those resources to improve the well-being of the family, which ultimately impacts the well-being of communities outside of that, right? The businesses they run, the people they interact with, and communities, because healthy individuals make healthy communities, obviously, and vice versa. So it kind of lifts everything up. And I love the concept. And so one of the lines in there really stuck out to me because it's ultimately how the book was talking about it was not in the form of a question, but I turned it into a question, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. This question I found to be extremely powerful. And then I'm going to share with you exactly what I did to actually start implementing some things to remove what this revealed to me, what this question revealed to me. So that's what I want to share with you today is what the question is that came from this book, how I think you can apply it to your life. And I'll go over a couple of quick benefits. Like number one, it feels like I cleaned out like the dark corners of my, it feels like I cleaned out like the dark corners of a closet or something like that. Like things that have been living in the back of my mind for months, and in a couple of cases, like years. And it's super eye-opening to be able to see those very, very clearly, but also to understand why I've enabled those things to stay, why those dark corners of the closet weren't cleaned out previously, right? And these could be anything between relationships, it could be legal stuff, it could be business, financial. I mean, there's a lot that this could be, right? It could be physical, it could be your actual location. Maybe you really have a dirty closet. Um, so yeah, what I wanted to share with you is this question first, and then I'll dive into what I did to kind of reverse engineer a quick solution for this that didn't cost $1 zillion, but actually gets the job done. Okay. So the question that I generated from the book, I think in the book it was talking about, yeah, deploying different resources. Oh, and it was talking about different individuals of your family, while they all need the ability to be able to talk about a desired end result, like a vision of how to steward the resources to take care of a family. It was also talking about the differences between family members, and I found that very interesting. It was saying that, and again, I don't know if I already mentioned the name of the book, but it's called Complete Family Wealth. Highly recommend, really good book. What it was discussing is how we have to learn and adapt to the different family members and not expect them to communicate through our methods. Like we need to learn and respect them as individuals, their interests, their perspectives, and let them be that way. But ultimately, all of us have to share in the family dynamic, right? And this again goes to ecosystems and communities. We need to be able to have those conversations and be transparent. And so really the whole thing was about how do you create environments where you can have those conversations and not only are they necessary, simple, but actually enjoyable. And so there was one little line in there, one little phrase where it said, everybody has a different threshold for disorder, a different tolerance for disorder. And I was like, wow, tolerance for disorder. And so it made me question, and this is where the question came from, where am I currently tolerating disorder in my life? And I was like, wow. And I was reflecting on, some people around me, and I'm like, not currently, like people in my past mostly. And I was like, a lot of these people have a very high tolerance for disorder, like an extremely high tolerance. And then I started to look at the people I respect in my life, that I have a lot of respect for because of the way that they steward or maintain or take care of, right? Their family, their life, their estate, their whatever it is, right? And I have very good examples around me of this stuff. And what you realize is that they have an extremely low tolerance. I'm not talking about being impatient and stuff like that. I'm just saying, I can be patient and not have tolerance for a messy room. I don't need to go about it in an aggravated way. I could be calm, but I could still take care of the problem because I'm not tolerating the state of my room to be out of order. Does that make sense? So everyone has a different level of tolerance for disorder. And I was like, wow. So it turned into a little exercise. And this is an exercise you could do. You could follow along right now. You could pause the video. You could do whatever you want to do. But I literally just wrote at the top of the paper, where am I currently tolerating disorder in my life? And I was just thinking of everything. Like, I was like, okay, I have some tax stuff I need to take care of, like from a couple years back. That's kind of been like, looming in the background. Like it's being taken care of, but like I've just tolerated some disorder, some gray areas and ambiguity around that for so long. It's like, wait a second, why am I okay with that? Someone else in my circumstance would not have that level of tolerance for that type of disorder, and it would have been taken care of in a day or a week or a month, not a couple of years. So I was like, man, I really got to take a look at that. Um, so where else am I tolerating disorder in my life? And it was like, okay, sometimes I'll pick up my phone because I'm in the world of social media marketing and all the brands I work with and stuff. And it's like, I do legitimately have to look at content. Like I literally do. And that's where I communicate with a lot of people. Like a lot of people, I don't even have their phone number. I communicate directly through these social platforms. And it's also a place for me to connect with different individuals that maybe I don't even know yet. And so, there's this social media thing that we're all dealing with, which is that there are teams of thousands and thousands and thousands of engineers that are sitting around all day long asking, how can they get you to stay on the platform longer? Right. And so that's what we're up against, like psychological warfare for our attention. And it's hard to get sucked in. And so I've had a high tolerance for me wasting time when it comes to things like that, picking up my phone and just scrolling for 2 hours or an hour, or 30 minutes or 20 minutes. Like, what am I doing it for? If it doesn't have a purpose, like why am I doing it? If again, high tolerance for disorder in that area of my life. Um, and there was, obviously you'll come up with your own list. So high tolerance of disorder, you start to look at your family members, you start to look at your friends, you start to look around and go, wow, you can look at businesses, you can look at brands, and you can determine their tolerance for disorder. Like how much disorder are they willing, how much disorganization are they willing to put up with before they do something about it, right? Some people are so passive that everything is disorganized. Everything is out of order. It's in disorder. Does that make sense? And it just, man, that just hit me so hard because everyone talks about like the motivation. They want to do things. They want life to be better. They want it to feel different. They set a New Year's resolution. It's like, this is a different conversation. This is a more real conversation, right? It's great that we can dream and want all these things, but there's a difference between saying, I would love to have a magically large house, right? There's a very big difference. I'm at like a farm right now. Um, there's a big difference between saying that and I live in a small apartment and I allow it to be disorganized. Like whether you're in a big place, a small place, right? You have a tolerance for disorder there. So you could have a big house and be totally disorganized. You could be a total hoarder. And so you see this everywhere, everywhere. Okay. It goes into maintenance, it goes in everything. So if you write at the top of the paper, where am I tolerating disorder in my life? Like what areas, what specific things, how long have I tolerated it for? And just have a little discussion with yourself. Okay. Talk out loud if you need to. Do whatever you need to do. But yeah, just get it out. And then this is where the magic happened, right? I was like, huh, how do I solve these things? Because I'm going to be honest with you, like I trust myself to get things done, but at the same time, some of this stuff is things that like I actively avoid doing. Like I do not want to do it in any shape or form. And I can get myself to do anything, right? But there are certain things again that I've tolerated for a long period of time. So I'm like, all right, what mechanism can I put into place? And this is where I started to ask the question of who, right? Who, not how. Not how can I do it, but who could I get involved that would help me expedite this, that would ensure, almost like insurance, that I would get this done very quickly with very little effort. And I was like, wow, you know what? There's a super awesome gal that worked with me for like almost 8 years. And she's awesome. She used to literally like run my companies, which is crazy. And now, she moved on to other brands and everything and bigger, better things for herself, which is amazing. We all want to grow and develop in our careers. And recently, though, I had come in contact with her again for something. And I was like, you know what? What if I just paid her like a, a solid amount per 1 hour session, right? Like a high pay rate for her for a 1 hour session, one time per week, and turn it into like an accountability coach where it's not, I don't have to go hire like an official accountability coach that's going to charge me 10 grand, right? But instead, I could actually kind of leverage this relationship, create a win for her. She's going to make an hourly rate she's not going to make anywhere else. Um, all she has to do is show up for the call. She knows me well enough to game me. And so this is what I did. This was the solution, right? I got pretty clear on this stuff. I kind of was just adding and collecting notes and thoughts on this as I was going through my week. And I was like, okay, so I'm gonna just have a session with her. I don't even know how this is gonna go. All I'm gonna tell her is I want to meet with you once a week. I'm gonna pay you X amount if you're down for it. All I need for you to do is show up. We're gonna kind of keep a little log of like what I say I'm gonna do, okay? The disorder I'm cleaning out of my life. And then your job is to make me feel as uncomfortable as humanly possible if I do not do that from week to week. That's it. Because the reality is like I had to solve it with a who, because if I just left it to how, it's just going to be like, oh, I'll get it done as fast as I can get it done. But I'm busy, right? All of us are busy. It's like I got a billion things going on. So how do I actually balance this out and make sure it gets done? If I have to show up, I'm doing it Tuesdays. If I have to show up next Tuesday, for example, looking her in the face, this, this lady who's like trusted me over the years and worked with me and knows me really well. If I have to show up every week and look her in the face and somehow try to uh justify how I have not gotten this done, it's just gonna be like, how long can a human do that before they're just like, yeah, I can't. It's like I feel like I'm letting her down. It's funny, it's like I'm letting myself down, but when there's no one else involved, it's like you look at how you've been letting yourself down. Reflect on that list that you created. Look at the last 2 years or 3 years or 5 years or 2 months. Like, how have you been letting yourself down? Uh, you know what I mean? So, um, yeah, just like one, like I'll say another one of the things on my list. I'm like consistently shaving. Look at me right now, right? The problem with my beard, I'm not gonna lie to you, it grows so fast. I have to shave every day, every single day. So if I shave this, all right, I shaved this 2 days ago, this right here. I shaved this one day ago. And you can see it's like the line is already like blurred, right? And I do need to trim it, so I need to go back to the barber. But it's like I'd be going to the barber like every other day if I wanted it to be perfect. And that's just, I don't want to do that, right? Or I'd have the barber come to me. It's like, I don't want to do that. So I have all the tools, I have all the things, but inevitably I'll create a video like this and I look and I'm like, I would like to look sharper, right? I would like to look sharper. So do I need to make it part of my ritual? Is it a level of disorder that I'm tolerating, right? Um, where I'm not waking up and making it part of my morning routine where I clean shave these certain areas every day, right? Because then it would look the way I want it to look all the time. It's a lot of work, but it's like then I run into someone at the street. I'm at like a little farm right now. You know what I mean? I'll show you guys in a second. Um, but like, you know what I mean? It's things like that. That's a small one, but it's a real example because I'm looking at my screen right now at the camera, and I'm like, yeah, I would love for me to be like perfectly clean shaven in this video. Now I'm not gonna be try to be a perfect human. That's just not it's just not me. I want to live a good life, right? And so if you see me in some videos with this kind of stuff, like I feel great. I take really good care of myself for the most part. I have a very low tolerance for disorder when it comes to like my health and things like that. Um, but yeah, like one of the things is like I have a health insurance thing right now that I need to deal with, but that's been going for like a few months, and I'm like, that's a level and a type of disorder that I've tolerated. So anyway, that's been my solution. If you guys are interested, I could share a little bit more, but that's really it. Like I was gonna draw some things out for you, but I realized I kind of don't need to. I think this concept kind of explains itself. So you just write it out, identify what those things are, and then ask yourself the who. So to tie this off, I just want to leave it off with the who, not how, and then I'll show you. Actually, I'll just show you right now. Look, it's pretty cool. It's kind of hard to see. I don't know why the screen is blurry because I don't have the blur on, is what it is. But anyway, so to tie this off, right? What was I gonna say? That's why I was gonna wait to show you. Oh, the Who Not How. So there's a book called Who Not How. My buddy Gabe, who's a freaking G, was trying to get me to read the book for a while. He's like, bro, you got to read this book. I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I thought I understood it because I read like the synopsis. I was like, who, not how? It makes sense. Who, not how. And then like I started reading the book and I was like, oh, I have been working way too hard for so long. Like all these years, right? Like I've kind of done this who, not how thing in a different way. Like I have some other videos where I've like talked about this. Like one of my favorite questions, like who do you know? And like I have a concept for like growing networks that way. But in this case, it's like I wasn't thinking of it in this particular way. And so Gabe has been a really good demonstration. My buddy Gabe has been a really good demonstration of that to me. And I've watched him like kind of grow and develop through that. And that's ultimately actually what made me read the book was like watching him deploy things. I was like, this makes sense. Why am I not doing this? Um, and so anyway, that's how I pulled my gal in. She's overseas, so like what's a lot of money to her is like an absolute steal for me, right? So what's an astronomical amount to them per hour is a bargain for me. So instead of thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a month and like a traditional coach like I've had, I'm like, I just need someone to be accountable to. I just need someone who can grill me, look me in the eyes, add some pressure, say, Spence, look, you said you were going to do this. Like, how much longer are you going to tolerate? That's all they need to do is be a mirror. And so meeting with them once a week, that's my solution. Who, not how. Anyone could do this. So like my gal's like a very experienced person from overseas. So she's not like a cheap VA or something like that. But you could do this like a practical solution that I would recommend is just getting like a VA as literally a VA. Like, I don't know what you pay a VA. If they make $4 or $5 an hour to like, that's usually like a starting rate. Offer them $10 or $20, right, for a week or something. When I say a week, I mean like an hour for one time per week to check in with them. And their job is you have to educate. I mean, you could show them this video, to be honest with you. They could watch this video to understand it. And this is their training. Like, hey, your job is literally to help me like stop gaming myself, like so I can remove or change this level of tolerance I have. And again, you're going to notice this in your family and your friends. Everyone has different levels of tolerance for disorder in different areas of their life. And it's not somewhere to judge. We're meant to be examples. We're meant to be examples for those around us. That's the best form of communication is setting an example, right? Not in a way to like rub it in other people's faces, but just because number one, it makes our life better. I can only put the oxygen mask on myself before, demonstrating how other people for them to do it for themselves. So I thought you might like this concept. What level of tolerance do you have for disorder in your life and in what areas? And make a list, connect yourself with a virtual assistant. There's websites for that kind of stuff. You can go to onlinejobs.ph. You could go to anything like that, right? And just make sure they speak really good English. They're not gaming you on the English. As long as they understand good English, you can pay them 20 bucks for 1 hour a week. It's like you're at $80 a month. Anyone could do that. Anyone could do that. Or if that's expensive, $10, right? Like there's someone that will do it. And their only job is to sit there for an hour and kind of measure your progress over time and to be that mirror and to pressure and say, hey, you said you're going to do this. What's the progress? Okay, let's log in on our sheet. Like, how much longer are you going to tolerate this disorder? And then see pull in other who's. So like if I have a tax thing I have going on, like I mentioned, right? It's like who's the right tax type of person to deal with this, right? Like who is that person that I can pull in? So does that make sense? So who, not how, read the book, send this video to your new accountability coach over in wherever you choose. And yeah, I hope this was helpful. I would love to hear your thoughts as always in the comments. I'm looking to do more videos like this. I don't really know what I'm going to do with them yet, but I'm just going to film stuff, share things that have been powerful for me, helpful for me, that you can leverage and use in your own life. So other than that, cheers. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video.